So we're back with another episode of Crankly Speaking. It's Sunday here in the US, and Daryl, you're Monday morning in Australia. I'm a little tired. I rode 6 hours today, yeah, and like a pro, you could say. My wife is out of town with my son, so I had a bit of freedom, and I have my riding buddy Pablo. We went out for an epic gravel adventure, so I'm feeling that now in my legs, and I'm also, feeling for the pro riders who have to race for 6 hours. We just rode and enjoyed the beautiful scenery, but these guys have to race really hard. And today, what another hard day. I know you would manage to catch up on the stage today with Tim Wellens winning in the end. What are your thoughts from today, and how's it going there in Australia?
Ah, yeah, I think it's been a tough week for all the guys of the tour. So much has happened. A lot of crashes again. Yeah, a lot of things, a lot of moving pieces. Obviously, Pog just smashing the field. I didn't predict that he was just going to do that. But yeah, it was kind of like that first big mountain day challenge. He just went right. Ah, have some of this. Um, but yeah, I think we can probably say that like yellow jerseys pretty well cemented with UAE. Vingo is probably the best of the rest at the moment. Then we had Remco abandoned, which is a big loss for the tour. I think big loss for him personally, but a big loss for the tour as well. As well for his team is like full support there. Obviously they got Merlier, which is great, so they've still got chances to go for some sprints. They've got yeah, they're an attacking team, so they'll have the opportunity. Um, and then, yeah, of course, Wellens, couple wins from the breakaway, which has been exciting, but just tells you like there's two races within the race, right? There's the race to get into the breakaway, and then everybody's fighting for the scraps now, right? Because they know there's maybe one or two sprint days left, but like a day into Carcassonne, like we said, that stage looks like a bunch finish. Teams were trying to control it, teams were trying to think they had the ability, but when you're getting such quality bike riders attacking like Wellens and Quinn Simmons and Alaphilippe and Wout, I mean, those are the best of the best. No one's bringing those guys back easily, especially when they're all chopping off, all working together. Um, it's like they just outmuscle the peloton. And the yellow jersey, UAE got someone in there, no reason to chase, don't have a sprinter. Nobody's going to control. Everyone's, I think, on their hands and knees at the moment. So nobody's wasting energy. So teams are just putting all their effort into that breakaway basket, and there's 20, 30 riders, and then it's some teams have got three riders in there. I mean, we've had multiple days, we've had three riders in there, and even then, to win from those breakaways is super tough. So, yeah, it just shows you that the peloton's like, there's the guys that are strong that can make the difference, that are always there. That's why they're always in the front, always in the breakaways. There's the guys that are just out the back all the time, and then there's the yellow jersey fight thing. But I think what we good part about it all is the green jersey battle still alive, which is cool. We were chatting just before the show, we got Pog that's threatening green jersey. You know what? I feel sorry for those sprinters because, like, yeah, there's still plenty opportunities in this tour to pick up some points. Van der Poel's been going in the breakaway. Obviously, he's got a bit of a target for that. Um, and then you've got Jonathan Milan, which is running out of opportunities, and super tough to make the breakaways now to get those points. So, yeah, I don't see it going his way.
It seems like quite a unique situation where we have like the top GC rider today, with and then the top sprinter Jonathan Milan and the top classic rider of this generation Mathieu van der Poel. All three of them are in the hunt to win that green jersey. And you would think Milan might have the upper hand because I know they do award less points for the big mountain stages. But now the big problem for Milan is that they've changed the final stage in Paris to include that tough climb that they had in the Olympics three times. So that to me that speaks like Van der Poel. That's like a classic finish. And if Mathieu pulls out something big on that day, plus in the days ahead, there are some flatter, more rolling days that are coming up. If he's able to finish this final week really strong, which we haven't really seen in the past, we've often seen him struggle a little in the final week of a tour, but he seems to be on better form this time, and I think he's really in the hunt to win that green jersey. I think if I was Milan right now, I'd be quite worried, considering how tough these final days are.
Yeah, and no one's going to gift it. That's for sure. That's 100% they're going to go for every single chance they can. I mean, Alpecin losing Philipsen, obviously they would love to win the green jersey. It's a huge thing, for any team to win a jersey. Um, yeah, so of course Alpecin's going to go all in with Van der Poel. Like you said, the last stage is difficult. It's not going to be a Milan type finish. And as well, Milan's going to, I mean, well, Milan's got a record of like getting through Grand Tour as well, like in the Giro as well. But the stages are so tough. They are so tough for the riders. They're like these starts are hard. They can't even get in the breakaway. He's just at the mercy of the peloton. Whereas a guy like Van der Poel, still able to move around, still able to grab 20 points every day. It's like it's like coming second in the stage. Those sprints along the way are worth quite a bit. And we're talking only 40 points, or Van der Poel can easily get that back. So it's quite easy from a tactical point of view. So wait for the road to go up, make sure you drill it, get rid of Milan, and then no one else is really worried about that green jersey. Tadej not really worried about it, and there's a bit of a world champions boys club there, so no doubt he said, just would love to win it. And today's kind of just thinking about the yellow jersey. But that being said, today might just want to win everything. He might be like, oh, maybe I'm going to be the first rider in Grand Tour history to win the green jersey, the polka dot, and the yellow jersey all in one year.
Well, I think it's actually Eddie Merckx did it.
Oh, did
He
he?
did that. Yeah, he did. Yeah, so he would be the first rider since Eddie Merckx to win all three jerseys. And back then, I guess Merckx would have also won the best young rider, I think, back then, but they didn't have that. And today is too old for that competition. But those three jerseys, he would equal Merckx then. And with today, I wouldn't be surprised if he actually is in the back of his mind going to go for those, three jerseys. Why not? He likes to tick off these things, it seems like. He likes to make history. And it's within his reach, right? Both King of the Mountains and the Green Jersey are very much within his reach. So,
Ah, you
yeah.
know what? The scary part is if I was honest with you and I said like if he actually said, "Oh, I want to win all three jerseys," he could do it. He could do it in this last week. If he went right team, he's got a team that's strong enough. He's got it. Just comes with a bit of risk, but there's no doubt. Like if he wanted to win all three of these jerseys, he could do it. Um,
He's
yeah,
just a
I just don't
machine.
know. I just don't see anyone. Yeah, I mean, been chatting to loads of people. There's just no one that's on that level. There's just
It,
no one
it's
there.
just crazy how strong he is. You see like a finisher like Ottokam where he puts 2 minutes into Jonas. Even like then the next guys are 3 minutes back. Then like even the top 10 are 4 or 5 minutes back. He rode that climb at 22 kilometers an hour average. The funny thing is, he's still slower than Bjorn Rees back in the day. But Bjorn Rees, we all know Mr. Back then they called him Mr. 60%. He rode it, and the funny thing is when you look at Bjorn Rees from those back then, because I used to follow cycling back then, he literally rode the whole climb out the saddle at 60 RPM, right? Like the
Yeah.
complete opposite to that today. But we know they were definitely enhanced with some very strong drugs back then, and he's admitted to that. So he's not the fastest all time up there, but I think he's within 30 seconds. But still, you think about how much time he put into everybody just to ride at over 22K an hour average on a climb like that. I mean, how it's just mind-boggling how strong he is. And frankly, a little boring looking at the GC competition right now because, like, who can really challenge him? But having said that, you never know in cycling, and maybe he has a really bad day. Who knows in this final week?
Oh, you can have a bad day for sure. I mean, but yeah, that's it's. I mean, it's not like yeah, like I hate it when like I don't know like, about boring like because like it's impressive to watch, right? It's just like it's just like you. Of course, you like everybody likes to see other people winning as well, but like yeah, just that like that the way that he can do it, it impresses you every time because most times you're like, no, surely today is the day that it's gonna like he's gonna show a bit of signs of like, and he did show signs of like, no, I wouldn't say weakness, but definitely not feeling on maybe his best. Okay, when he had to turn the screws right in the end, he put the nail in the coffin into Jonas pretty quickly. But yeah, just that like kind of like not like I'm just gonna keep putting minutes into you to keep, yeah, maybe he wasn't feeling so good. He should be getting tired. Shit, I'd hope he'd be getting tired. But yeah, it was a successful week for them. UAE. I mean, obviously, Whelan's riding away. We saw some comments from like Quinn and that about motorbikes and all these kinds of things. But you know, at the end of the day. there's a part where if you're in the front and the motorbike's in front of you filming, you're not going to be moving away from it. There's
Yeah.
there's parts where you're lucky enough to have someone in front of you. There's sometimes you got like five, like sometimes the Giro got like five VIP cars in front of the race. It's ridiculous, like a big wall just pulling the breakaway away. But yeah, that's the sport, right? Yeah, at the end, everyone's going to take advantage if it's there. Like, what do you expect Tim Williams to just go like, "Excuse me, motorbike, you're a bit closer." Like, I don't want guys to say, "Help me win this race."
Yeah, I don't know if Quinn said, you might have heard that. I didn't hear that. What I did hear was Quinn complaining a little bit about, like, maybe what I kind of read what he was saying was, what I heard what he was saying was more about like Cat 5 tactics where Tim Wellens was sitting on, and then, he comes with a big attack and he rides away. I think like you were saying earlier, that famous quote from one of the top riders in the world. But when I watch Quinn, I feel like he's so generous with his effort. And he's always out there, he's always attacking, and he's always blowing up the race. But when you race, you also have to like hide your game a little bit. If you're going to win a stage, you have to be crafty, right? And Campanats actually said afterwards, he said Tim Wellens is a good friend, but he's one of the most crafty riders that I know. And you can't like trust him because he's always got a plan and he's sneaky. And I think if you're going to pull a stage win off, like you described the other week when you won that, that Tour de France stage, you have to like hide your game a bit. You have to like play a little bit. You have to be willing to gamble if you really want to pull it off. And I think when I see Quinn, he's just so generous. He's just going for it. And then you have these other guys who are just kind of like hiding their game a little, and then they come with one big move, and then it's like, whoa. What was that quote you were telling me again about that I was referring
Like
to?
it was Gilbert. Gilbert once said it. He said that the winner's always right. So whoever wins the race, the winner's always right. No matter how if they sat on, if they got towed by motorbikes or whatever, the winner's always right. And it's so true because like, at the end of the day, that's the most important, right? It's not important how you won the race. It's like you won the race. And to go back to Quinn, I mean, he's a fantastic bike rider. Don't get me wrong. I love loved racing against Quinn. He was one of the strongest guys I've ever ridden against. Like he's just ability to attack, and he's just got such a big engine. Um, Maybe that's his downfall. He just feels so strong and so good, um, that when it's time to go, misses something. I don't know, but he's a fantastic bike rider, and like I said, so strong and so willing to commit. And you got to commend that because like he goes for it. Like he's actually one of the guys who goes, like, all right, he gets on that start line and goes, today's a big day. Even if the road goes uphill from the start and it's like thinking, oh, I don't know, it's going to be, he'll go for that attack, even if that means getting dropped, like, and going straight out the back of the group. I've seen that before. And that's like commitment, right? That's just like, this guy wants to win bike races. He's just like, I'll do what it takes. Of course, he's disappointed, but I mean, his turn will come. There's no doubt a guy like Quinn will have his moment where he's gonna like, you know, win a stage of the Tour de France. I mean, he's a huge rider. I mean, look at national champion a few times. I've seen some of his solo attacks where he's getting caught right in the end of some hard stages in like the Giro or wherever. Yeah, good bike rider.
Yeah, he's a great rider. I used to coach his brother Colby, and I know his parents well. I spent some time at the Tour de France with his parents. His dad, he's also a really strong rider. His dad, I remember just chasing him around up every mountain. He just rides hard. Like that's all he cares about. He doesn't care where he's riding or what climb he's riding. He's just pushing on the pedals. And I was just in his wheel like all day, just like sitting at high tempo. And I think Quinn is a little bit like that as well. He just wants to push on those pedals and go hard. It seems like a similar mentality, but yeah, he's an amazing rider. So let's talk a little bit about Remco. We saw him jumping off, obviously not feeling good. There's from my perspective, obviously we don't know what's going on with Remco. We don't know, he might be sick, and obviously completely normal to stop at this point. But I've also seen in the Tour de France where, like a rider, for example, like Carapaz last year, he was going for GC, then that didn't work out. He had some bad days, and then he ended up refocusing, winning the King of the Mountains, and also winning a stage in the final week. Often riders can come back even if they've had a few bad days. But it seems like some of the big champions these days, if they're not winning, they're not really interested in continuing. Whereas some of the team helpers, the domestique type riders, you're trying to finish no matter what. You're like you're used to, like you were saying, you're used to feeling bad, and you're just used to like suffering. Whereas these other guys who are the best of the world, they just in the front, they just used to like contesting the wins, and then when things don't go their way, it seems like they're a little quicker to step off the bike. I don't know. What do you think about that?
Well, I mean, there's also the parts where I say like these guys are paid to win. They paid the big bucks to win big races. If they're not going to be able to do it at that race, I mean, you've seen Roglic step off a few times after a couple of crashes, and then he just has to like refocus for the next event. I mean, they're getting paid the big bucks, so they have to probably still think about like it's not worked out here. Maybe I need to refocus and go for the next big objective because this was our big team objective, and we're not going to hit the target here. So maybe the team's got a bit of pressure, maybe the sponsors got a bit of pressure. Okay, we're expecting to see something. So go home and refresh, come out of it. Yeah, it would have been super difficult for him to do that. I think I don't think he just hops off. That feeling of like that decision making, not that uncertainty the day before or the day you start the race, and you're like, shit, man, I've already spoken to the coach, I've already told the team I'm not feeling good. This is the second day in a row where I feel terrible. Then this day starts the next day. It's a nasty stage. It's just hard. It's just on. You're just like not feeling it. Then you're getting dropped from the big group, and then you're just like, what do I keep doing here? Do I just keep like digging myself a hole? Because clearly something's not going good. Like a guy like Remco doesn't get dropped on a bad day. Remco is still like in that front group of 15. Maybe he's lost 4 minutes on a big mountain day. He's not getting dropped when there's a peloton still together, or So there's a clear sign something's not right. But that would have been super challenging for him. You got the motorbike there, and you see him a few times, like just telling the camera just to like just get off me. He knows he's getting dropped. Everybody knows he's getting dropped, and it's just like too much. It's just like that. You love the camera on you when you're winning, and you don't mind when it's there and you're celebrating. But then when you're in those tough moments and the motorbike's just next to you going brrr, and just like filming you, and all you want to do is just tell that motorbike just to like F off. You just like, you can see he just wants to tell him, but he knows social media, all these kinds of things are just going to blow up in his face afterwards. It's going to even be worse. So he's just like, just trying to focus and be like, oh, just get out of my space. And then you've got that thing that the team car comes around him, and you see him unclip, and then the motorbike stops again, and they're just on top of you. And that's like, I mean, those are parts of the game you have to deal with. But that physical, like that decision making on that bike to go, like, I'm going to step off now, that's tough. And no doubt when he gets in the car, it's just like maybe instant relief, like, okay, it's over. But that reality, once that car takes off and you've done 1 meter of driving in that car, you like physically can't reverse your decision. Like, you have to ride the whole way. You can't like go in the car even 1 meter. So as soon as that car pulled off, he probably was like, "Shit, that's it now." Like that's the turnaround's done. And then it's that moment where you sit there and you think to yourself, like, was it the right decision? And no doubt he'd be like, people in his mind too is getting people saying, he's thinking what people are saying, like, oh, should he have stopped off? His team's been working hard for him. He's got all that noise. So it's super challenging period for Remco. I think, the decision making is one part, but it's the reality and the things that comes after that. Meanwhile, he probably would have spoken to his team already, and they would have all been on board with it. But yeah, I don't think that's an easy decision to make, and tough for him, man. As an athlete to bounce back from that now, no doubt he's a champion. He knows what he has to do, but he's got now, just more points to prove.
Yeah, so much pressure. Like the whole of Belgium, they put so much pressure on him. The first real Belgian hope to win a Grand Tour in the current era, the Vuelta a few years back, and yeah, I can't imagine like how much pressure, and also like you said, I mean, there must be a lot of like feeling like maybe I could have carried on, or like there's got to be a lot of that internal like conflict, right? When you step off like that. But yeah, we know he'll be back. I mean, he is a great champion, and there's no doubt he'll be. I wouldn't be surprised if he wins the Worlds again, time trial, and who knows? Maybe we'll see him at the Vuelta challenging for the win.
Yeah, I mean, look, he
Uh,
still won a stage, eh? He still won a stage of the tour, so it's not like he wasn't there. And yeah, I think people just got to be easy on him. He's like, he's still young, white jersey. Like people forget, like these guys are so young, and the pressure that's put on them. Um, and that's not their fault. They're so good, right? It's not their fault. They're so brilliant, and they're getting paid a whack. Um, yeah, it's just it comes with the territory, but they're definitely. No doubt there'll be some of those cynics out there that are attacking him and going like, oh, something from Belgium or someone going like, oh, she's nothing like Merckx or, Merckx wouldn't have done that. There'll be a lot of that stuff as well. So, yeah, I hope for his sake that things aren't too rough, but yeah, definitely a challenging day. I think that
yeah.
that wouldn't have, as a bike rider, that wouldn't have been easy to do.
Especially when you start cycling and then 6 months later or 7 months later you become junior world champion riding through the field, riding, winning by minutes, like when you're that good and you're used to winning like all the time, it's probably even extra hard to get used to this because so many of the rest of the peloton, that's definitely not their experience, right? They're just used to fighting, groveling for top tens, top 20s, and here's a guy who just starts and becomes world champion. So I'm sure it's a little extra hard for him when things aren't going his way. So let's talk a little bit. What do you think today, Alaphilippe? Tough dude. What do you like? Crashed, pulled out his. Was he dislocated his
Well, I
elbow
saw
or his
I
shoulder
saw
or
the
something?
reel, and it was just like, hey, and he's like, oh, I've crashed, and he's like, oh, my shoulder, and then next minute he's like, oh, don't worry, my shoulder was dislocated, I'll put it back in, and then like literally like maybe I don't know, a couple 50, 60 k's later, he's like lighting it up the hill, and he's in the breakaway, then he's sprinting, and he thinks he wins the race. I mean, it's like ridiculous, but yeah, these guys can suffer, man. They can suffer. They like I would have been. I mean, I could suffer, but geez, I would have had every excuse. Like that would have happened to me, and I probably would have said to myself, "Okay, there's my excuse. I was just going to sit in the bench now and just be like, oh, Daryl is injured, I'm out." But those winners got different mentality. Yeah? They're just like, right, I think I'm okay now. It's like it's still got a chance, and then he beats like Wout, and then he thinks he's won the stage. It's like,
So he must have used. I wonder which arm he used because probably not the one he like dislocated it
well, mate,
when he put his arms up.
I had a teammate once that once threw a bottle and dislocated his shoulder as he threw his bottle, but then he went limp. So he like threw his bottle and then he actually passed out. He threw his shoulder out, but then as he did that, he passed out on the bike because he like threw his shoulder out. It's
What?
just like I was like, imagine you come across the line there, you throw your hand up and dislocate it and goes out and you just like pass out on the finish line. Like, geez. I
Jeez,
mean,
yeah,
it's but clearly he's probably done it before. Like if you can put your shoulder back in, this is not your first. Like I wouldn't even know what to do.
yeah.
He's
I've
just like,
seen.
oh, popped up.
Yeah, wasn't he didn't Wout do that? Oh no, Roglic did that with like a garden chair or something. Remember the one he had like he was holding a chair and he like spectator's chair and he like put it back in or something. That's nuts, right? Those guys
Yeah,
are
they can
tough.
suffer. They know how to suffer. That's for sure. I mean, there's no doubt that that's why they can ride 3 weeks on and flat out like that and go through all that pain. They have such a high pain threshold, like a lot higher
Yeah,
than anyone on here. It's like,
yeah.
um, yeah, amazing.
What about this man? You saw Jonas, he was caught behind that crash, and the next thing you see him like chasing back on his own. It was a strange sight to see because they've been so dialed trying to protect Jonas the whole tour, and then all of a sudden they like let him come back on his own. It was a little
It's
strange.
also like a bit of confusion probably on the radios too. Like there's probably so much stuff going down. The radio tour saying this group's here and that group's there, and Jonas is back, and then Jonas is on a group and he's in the cars, but actually the cars are like you saw the cars helping everyone back, right? Like it was like in between and like real staggered. But it's like you actually sometimes don't know where. Like you think you're on the back of the bunch, but it's just the next bunch. And you're like, oh, are we that far behind? Like, and maybe it's that part where you're like, oh shit, he's actually not in this bunch. That's the other bunch. Like we're not even on the bunch that's chasing it. This is just like the bunch that's been dropped earlier or whatever. So I think there could have been some confusion also like that. But yeah, super strange to see a team that's so dulled not knowing where their lead is. Like you would know if there's a crash happen, the first thing you do is check where your leader is. But
Mhm.
yeah, sometimes people don't hear anything on the radio. It's noisy at the tour. There's spectators. There's a lot going on. Um, team cars are just making noise, and particularly in the French races, they are very like active on the radio. You know, the ASO, they were very like, this has happened, this has happened, this happened. Sometimes you can't even talk to your own riders because you're like, can you just keep quiet? I want to know, I want to ask what's going on, but you can't because the radio's going, and then your radio's going. You're like, sorry guys, I didn't hear that. Radio 2 was talking because the riders don't know. The riders don't know what you're hearing from Radio 2. So they're talking at the same time that radio is talking. You're like, what? You know, you're trying to understand both sides. So there could have been that as well. A lot of confusion, a lot of people, like, just a lot of noise.
There must be a lot of adrenaline going, like as a director or in the car. You must have like such high spikes of like adrenaline all day long.
Oh,
Must be
geez,
crazy.
guys on your bumper, and then guys coming back from a piss, and then it's like, it's just, the whole day
Did
is
you
just,
see that Ineos car who hit that Spectator?
yeah.
That was
Yeah.
kind of crazy too.
Yeah,
Eh?
that was great. But also, I mean, these like, it's so frustrating, and there's so many times where they are so close. They just think, I mean, it's great to have spectators, but like, gee, I mean, you don't have to stand in the road like and block the road. Like cars need a job. They don't even know if there's a rider behind the car, and like you, you can't just stop either. You know, there's people behind you. There's motorbikes. Yeah. I think it was bound to happen, right? And maybe that's the one
Yeah,
you saw on. Maybe that's the one you saw on social media and that, but I mean, there's plenty of other times where people clip someone or riders clip
yeah.
people's iPads out their hands and like
I've
cameras.
I've spent a lot of time on the road there with our bike tour company in the mountains, and when you see the riders come, you always see the car, and everyone's like, "Okay, there's a car right behind them, so like you better step back immediately."
Yeah,
Once
yeah.
they, but that person just stood there, like didn't even move. And yeah, and you often hear like people like clipping, like hitting the,
Yeah, and look,
like
you
the
got to
rearview
remember,
mirror.
like we most of the time when you're following in those races, is you actually take all the safety stuff off the car. So the braking and the automatic braking and that because you can't have that if riders are coming back through the cars and you get close to a car and your car just brakes. So you got to turn all those kinds of things off. So you're not like, you know what I mean? Maybe you're used to driving a car and go like, oh, sure, the car will just have a Tesla or whatever, it would just stop. But. That's why there's no Teslas in the race. But I mean, you know what I mean. You got to turn all that kind of stuff off because it's actually a more hazard in that kind of environment than having it on. So
Mm.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's hectic. It's a hectic world. But I think, um, yeah, I think it's just fans just don't understand. They don't understand how fast you come until they see it and they're like, oh, geez. They don't know how fast 70k an hour is. Like 60, 70k an hour. As a bunch, they're just like, oh, whoa, that was fast.
A lot of people are drinking on the mountain too. They're like a bit drunk by the time the riders come by, which
Oh,
is
yeah,
also a
they're
problem.
done by then.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about the next few days, and then we'll have finished with two questions. One, two coming up. That's flat, and then one mountain. So I mean, that's going to be total about 3,000 meters for the day. So it's going to be like a lot of flat riding. There's going to be a sprint after 100k. So Trek are going to have to control that for quite a while. And then it's going to be like just like a race up the Ventoux. So I think that's going to be actually really hard. And I see Tadej obviously doing well at that because it's going to be so intense, right? Just with one mountain.
Well, I don't see Trek controlling it because if you're a Trek and you're in the pound seat, you just want those points getting taken away. What Trek's going to do is just control Vanderpool. They're just going to
Yeah.
control him. So if he goes, they have to go. If a grab break of 30 guys goes up the road, perfect. So
Mhm.
they're gonna have all eyes on Vanderpool, like 100%. So if Vanderpool
Yeah.
goes, Milan will be on his wheel all day. If it's flat, I think that's going to be the scenario it'll play out there, and then that dynamic will kind of keep the race probably together for a long period of time as well. If the two of them are just canceling each other out, and then maybe that could just be like another big GC today, just smashing it up to the finish line. UAE going, it's close enough. Let's bring it back. You know.
Yeah. I think it's almost like it's like his revenge tour, this year. Like last time when Vinegar smashed him up Otokam, then today took his revenge. Then we had also, we have Col de la Loze coming, which is where he also cracked 2 years ago, completely cracked. So that's coming up on Thursday. And then, obviously the time trial, there was kind of like a little bit of a revenge from the Dauphiné. And I think there's one other day I can't remember now, but it's almost like he's kind of making sure he stamps his mark on those days that he had really bad days in the past, where he lost the tour. It's almost like those are the days he's really focused on to win.
Yeah, yeah. Sure. I mean, he doesn't really need to show anyone any more. I think they've all seen it. They're all like, all right, you've won this race, mate. Just go easy on us. Just don't make us look like we're all a level below you. But yeah, I think there's a couple interesting days. There's probably two breakaway days left, which will be interesting. And then yeah, like you say, that final stage in Paris, which hasn't been done before, from the Olympics. That'll be an interesting course. You got Alaphilippe, all those kinds of guys that are going to be really active that day. It should be a good finish. But I'm also thinking that it's a stage where they're going, we've never seen the Maya Jean win in Paris. And there's no doubt in my mind that I know
Well,
one rider that will be wanting to do that.
well, Eno's done it. I think he rode away one year in the rain with another guy, and he won. I think with the yellow. But it's been a
Yeah, but
very
it's
very
been
long time since
ages
it happened.
since then.
Yeah,
And that's their dream scenario. I think that's the like, wow, let's see if we can do that again. And what an opportunity for today to go. Right,
yeah.
you just talked about all these things. How can he show he's the best? Well, there you go.
Yeah, no, for sure. Let's just quickly at Thursday, the climb for that stage is 5,500 meters of climbing total. I mean
Mm.
that's a big day, eh?
That's a huge
And
day.
and Col de la Loze, they're not doing it from the side where through Maribel. That's where he cracked last time. They're coming in from the Courchevel side, so that's still a hard climb, but it's not as crazy as that bike path up the
Mm.
way they did. So it won't be quite as challenging the final climb, but it's at the end of 5,450 meters. So 5,500 meters is huge. The next day they finish at La Plagne. That's 4,500 meters total. And that final climb, I think, is 17 or 18 kilometers at an average of just under 8%. So those are some serious days coming, Thursday and Friday of this week. I mean,
Yeah,
that's
I mean,
yeah,
the only thing that can really change is that podium spot. Is what I think is that the Lipowitz is going real good. Then there's Roglic who's like just hovering there as well. He's like still there. He's not out of it. Don't be surprised to see old Roglic not just finish on that podium. So I think I think the battle for third is going to be awesome. I think the other two are kind of step above. When they go, it's just the two of them. So I think that's pretty clear. And then it's going to be that good little battle from behind Felix Gall, Roglic, all that's going to be a cool battle to see who gets on that final podium.
yeah. Cool. Question from YouTube. An Australian listener was asking, do you think that Lavinia should also not allow the World Tour under 23 riders like they're doing for the Worlds this year?
Oh, I think 11 years. Yeah, I think it's someone who's run like we had like I think Richard Teller the one year like did the Giro and then he went to go do 11 year. It's also not his choice to make the rules, but I do think it's you know the 11 year should be exposure for the kids that are coming like that aren't in World Tour teams, that aren't in pro teams. I think it shouldn't be any pro teams, even pro continental. I think it should be like you're not in a World Tour team or pro conti team, and you should be able then to like show you the best of the next upcoming generation. When you've just got like a couple of World Tour riders destroying the field, it's like yeah, where do they go, those kids? Maybe one or two get picked up, but they still, yeah, they don't get a chance to like have their races. Like World Tour races should be like I think World Tour races, the World Tour standings and the everything should just be going off the World Tour points, like a Premier League, and then Pro Conti should be that, and the two from the Pro Conti that win the Pro Conti League, they come up to the World Tour. The two that fail in the World Tour go down. Like I don't know why we have to mix it and make it so confusing. Cycling, it's just yeah. It's the same thing with under 23s. It should be like no pros. It's simple as that. Like the pros are they turning out of junior turning pros. So like let them have their race. Like I don't think we
Yeah.
have to get to this point where it's so difficult to like understand cycling. I think cycling makes it so difficult to to understand cycling. That's why nobody knows what the hell's going on. Like you try and understand the World Tour standings, how you qualify. And like, I know it's a 3 year rolling scale. It's not rolling. It's actually 3 years. Then it guarantees you 3 years, and you're like, Well, so if you don't make it in the World Tour, then you're 3 years out. How stupid! Like, lose sponsors like that. It should be a rolling thing every year. It's the best of the best race the tour, and then like, yeah,
Yeah.
that's totally off topic now. But anyway,
Yeah, because I think cycling changed significantly in the last few years where the young riders became so good. Back 10 years ago, it was very rare to see young riders, be competitive at the highest level. And that's when races like Lavinia and that made more sense because it was more like the guys up and coming. But now those same guys are also winning at the World Tour and then they jump in at Lavinia and then they win, Lavinia. And yeah, cycling has definitely changed. It's definitely become a lot younger, it seems like.
no, it was the same. Like, it was the same with Louis Mikes. He rode the Volta, like with MTN, and then all of a sudden he was riding under 23 World Road Race. You're like, mate, jeez, like how that's like it's so difficult to like compete against someone that's like actually had that ability to race a Grand Tour before the World Championships. Like, it's huge. Um, so yeah, I don't agree with it. I think, and it used to be like just under 23s or under 26 riders, and under 26 is great. Like, actually, because there are some guys that are under 23 that don't make it, but they're still bloody good bike riders, and that can be a chance for them to show themselves at Lavinia, and then like maybe they win it at 24, but then oh, this guy's an ace bike rider. Like, he just won Lavinia. He's 24, but he's ready for the pro leagues for sure. Um, yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Final question from Russ Grant in South Africa, who is a good friend of mine, and you know him as well. The other day he was saying how Madio is, and some of the other people in cycling who've been around a long time were saying, what about why don't we have take race radios away, no data? Wouldn't that be more exciting to watch? I'd love to hear your perspective, but what's interesting is that the Tour de France, as an organization, ASO, they see the bike race as they label it as content. You know, here's our here's our TV show, like just before prime time, and it's a way of attracting sponsors and making money, and that's what they're providing. They're providing content, so they see it as like an entertainment, whereas when you're a bike rider, you're seeing it as a sport and a competition. So it's quite interesting. Like, if you're looking at it from the eyes of like ASO, then making it maybe more interesting, maybe with no radios, no power, and all that, could make the racing potentially more exciting. I don't know. But what do you think about that idea? What's been around for years now, where they said, the riders shouldn't have power data, they shouldn't have race radios. Somebody who's been in the peloton, obviously, you have much clearer probably opinion on this than us people just from the outside.
I think as well, people just think that like I think everyone thinks that radios are bad because I think like the directors are really controlling riders from the car, like, you know, pedal now. It's not like that. It's like, the race radios are great for like communication of like, hey, what's happening in the race, because the race doesn't give you that information all the time. So it's good to know 2 minutes, 1 minute, who's in the breakaway, which riders, like, to be like, I know we could just say, oh, let's take them away and not know who's in the breakaway and just write numbers down like the old days, and hopefully bike riders will memorize it. Like, okay, that number 15's in the breakaway, I got to watch out for him. Um, but the yeah, from a safety point of view, from getting information like, oh, we're going through a town, it's slippery, the guys up the road crashed, or like, that's super valuable information. And like I said, it's not, you can talk tactics on the radio, but ultimately the riders are still having to pedal their bikes. Where I do think the radios creates havoc is that each team has got so much information, and they're constantly feeding that into the peloton. So everybody's knowing this roundabout's dangerous, this is happening, and this is happening. It'd be great if you could filter that out. But you can't. It's physically impossible. With Velovia and all those things at the team's disposal, you can't just say, um, to keep quiet about things. And everyone's expecting a dangerous road, or so everyone gets nervous. It's that nervousness, but it's the course, man. It's like going through narrow sections and roundabouts and traffic islands, and if you didn't ride on courses like that, if we didn't have to deal with that information would be coming over the radio. So it's like, yeah. I mean, how do you make the race more spectacular? Oh, let's send him up this little narrow climb, and they'll be lined with people, and it's, yeah, but they don't understand, like, You wouldn't have F1 race. You wouldn't go like, oh, the times are really fast this year. Should we just put like a couple hay bales in the course, like just make it a bit narrower at this section here, so they really squeeze and fight for that corner, or let's make the course super narrow here. No, they make it still 15 meters wide because that's what it has to be. Doesn't matter if it's, you know what I mean? Like us, we go like, let's make it more epic. Let's like, how do we like make a real funnel and a real fight on TV and show like guys fighting for it? We'll just make it narrow. So it's more the responsibility of the races. I don't think it's the data and like Tadej's not riding up the hill going, okay, the guy in the car, director saying ride at 450 today, that's good. There's not a chance. They're just telling him to go. Like, go, mate. So it's not like I know everyone looked at Chris Froome again, like, oh, he's looking at his stem always, whether or not he has anything on there. He's looking at his stem. That's his style. I think a lot of guys, it was the commentators are going like, oh, there he is riding again to his watts, and like, sure, you look down at what you're doing because it's a reference point, but I don't think it's gonna. Yeah, I don't think so.
Sorry, my dogs are getting a little crazy, so I'm muting my microphone. But yeah, I agree. And also with the power data, I don't think that would change much. I don't think people are like looking at their power all the time. I mean, you're probably racing with
And you're
the course
suffering like a
map, the
dog out there.
speed.
You ain't looking at anything.
Yeah, exactly. So people aren't looking at their power. The less is more when you're racing. You want to be in it fully mentally, and you don't want to have all that distraction. You want to know the course. You want to know how far it's to go,
Yeah.
maybe time for nutrition, those kind of things. But power, I think guys are racing mostly on feel, unless it's like a time trial or something like that. Maybe they use it for pacing.
Yeah, yeah. You use it for pacing in a time trial, but not like I'm going to make this attack. I'm going to stay below 700 watts here quickly because I know I'll do a couple 2040s up here, you know?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. All right, so I think we're gonna wrap it up. Guys, please subscribe, share the podcast, and leave us some comments on YouTube. You can leave us comments, questions, and we'll answer those next week. You can also email simonsaycycling@gmail.com if you want to send us your your question by email. Daryl, anything you want to share as we wrap it up?
Nah, it's a good week of bike racing coming up. Hopefully we can get one of our boys from Israel Premier Tech up there. That'd be great. Um, but yeah, they've been trying every day. Sometimes multiple riders in the breakaway. So I'm hoping they can get some success in this week. And yeah, let's hope for a nice, safe week of bike racing for everyone.
Cool. Awesome. All right, guys. Thanks for listening. See you.
Cheers.